We apologize for the delay, but we got things resolved, so that's all good. Okay? So I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to have our Eagle Scout lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Ryan.
Ryan? Last name?
Island.
Island. Where are you related to? You guys look great today. Just to start off the meeting, before we do the roll call and whatnot, we did have our Memorial Day ceremonies, and you Scots were great there. The high school was great there. Everything couldn't have gone any better. The rain stopped. It was a great day. Thank you for all the police, the fire department, everyone was there, and it was really a great day. Thanks for everyone's involvement from the borough committee for the Memorial Day services. It was all good. So I'm going to start now. We'll go to roll call.
Okay, Mayor Falls.
Here.
Okay, Councilwoman Fry.
Here.
Councilman Youngkins.
Here.
Councilman Shields.
Here.
And Councilman Ondo.
Here.
Councilman Brennan.
Here.
And Councilman Eads.
Here.
And Councilman Bodadian.
There.
Okay, and Engineer Elias.
Here.
Okay, and Stenographer Haverty.
Yes, here.
Code Enforcement Officer Cannon.
Here.
Public Works Director Bicey.
Here.
Chief of Police Ford.
Here.
And Chief of Fire Coles.
Here.
I think I got everybody.
Thank you so much. And just to comment on that, I do like you announcing everyone who's here. Prior borough councilman, borough manager, he didn't feel that was proper, but I think it's very proper. I acknowledge everyone who's here from the borough, and thank you all for being here. Okay, so we're going to have a registered presentation to start with. We did go over the borough having the executive session, which I already spoke about. So Mr. Highland, Ryan has a presentation to give us. Okay, can we lower the screen?
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Would you like to watch the presentation? Come on this side.
I will. I do want to watch the presentation.
See what he's up to.
He's on my glass, I can see.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Highland, and I'm a Boy Scout with Troop 4 in Munhall. I'm working on my Eagle Scout and must do an Eagle Scout service project. For my Eagle project, I have chosen to restore Kennedy Park in front of the Carnegie Library. I would like to start with the general cleanup of the park. I would clean up the debris and trash around the park and trim the low-hanging branches off the trees so they look a lot nicer. I also would remove some overgrown bushes near the gazebo that are blocking the way. Next, I would like to clean the memorial and the area around it, along with get rid of all the weeds and overgrowth. This will return it to its original glory. There is a missing bronze torch on one side of the monument, and we are unable to get the exact one to replace it. I contacted a company, and to get an exact replica made, it would be over $1,200. I propose that we fill in the space with a brand new plaque and rededicate the monument to veterans who have served in wars after Vietnam, since there is no memorial in Munhall to them. There is a lot of graffiti in the park. I would clean up and remove all the graffiti around the park. Almost all of the light posts are missing some paint. I will repaint them all. I would also replace the broken light posts in the park. I would also like to repair and replace the light for the flagpole. I propose we place it on a taller pole so that it cannot easily be reached. This will prevent people from breaking it again. I would like to completely refurbish all the benches in the park. I would remove the old wood and replace it with new wood. Then repaint all the frames on the bench of the benches and pressure wash the area around them. There are 4 residential style trash cans in the park chained to poles. I want to replace all the trash cans in the park with permanent outdoor style cans. I believe this will make the park look a lot better. I'm going to replace all the signs around the park. Several of them are in bad shape and outdated. I would like to make some new entrance signs for all the entrances to the park. I would also like to incorporate President Kennedy into the signs better so that people know this park was dedicated to him. You may ask, how much is this going to cost Munhall? The answer is nothing. As a part of my project, I must fundraise and seek donations to cover the entire cost of the project. I also must find all volunteers and contractors to do this project. Thank you for taking the time to consider my Eagle Scout project. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. You said you're gonna fix the light standards. You're gonna paint them and how are you gonna fix the light standards? I'd refer to Bob Vicey on that. How you gonna do that?
The broken one would be replaced.
That'll be replaced.
Yeah, there's one that's broken, all the other ones are just,
How tall are the light standards?
I believe they're 12 feet.
Pardon?
I believe they're 12 feet.
12 feet, okay. All right.
And do we have any poles left from down there, Bob? Any?
No.
No?
I personally like what you're gonna do with that missing torch. That's a World War I monument, and you're now letting everybody know that it's for every veteran. I like that, thank you.
I think it's a very nice project, Good luck, keep in touch with all of us, get the word out there, because I think there's a lot of people who are willing to help.
Yeah, very good, Ryan. But on the signage, could the borough, one of the signage you want to replace, could the borough help with the signage?
I think the borough can help with a lot of things.
A lot of things, yeah, they're in the signage, but I'm thinking the signage, we can do some of the signage, you know, where, you know,
And I also
about the
think,
dogs.
I also think that,
Handicap accessible, yes, signs like that, I think we can help.
I think the borough needs to go down and really take a good look at the pavilion there, because the pavilion needs a lot of attention. That's not in his project, in his realm, but I know Bob is aware of what's going on down there. Did they fix the grapple, the handle?
Yes.
What do you call it?
Handrail.
The handrail, I'm sorry. So they did take care of that? That's great. So I commend you. I think you're doing this is going to be a big plus for Munhall. Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you. Sure. And if you need help, please call the borough office, because we're behind you 100%. As the mayor said, come on up here, Mayor. He wants to take a picture. Council, you want to come up for a picture with Ryan?
Yeah, come on, come on.
Yes. This park is such a nice park. I go down there and I'll eat lunch down below, and it is beautiful. Come on, you guys, come on over to the side. Oh, hey now.
You sleep in your truck or not?
I do at times. It's the only peaceful time I get.
Right? Rich.
Where are you at, Mayor? There you go.
Right here.
Okay.
You get everybody?
Thanks, Ray.
Good luck, Ryan.
We will need like
Keep in touch.
a letter.
Oh, we'll get you that. Whatever you need, we'll get rid of it. That's a given.
Hey, Ray, good job on that new site for the Veterans Manor. The new Veterans Manor site looks, on Facebook looks real good.
Glad someone knows how to work that controller. That was very good. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Ryan, thank you. Good luck.
Brian, when do you think you're gonna start?
I got one more, I gotta go to the council real quick, and then right after that, once they sound good.
Heck of a project, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Missy, call Missy about it. If I can just, before I leave real quick, I just want to update you on our other Eagle project that's going on, the Main Street Memorial. So he's ran into a couple snags, which is not uncommon with the Eagle Scout project. He has some issues getting water there to do some pressure washing. So we're relying on the fire departments to help us out with that, so scheduling is an issue there. He's also running into some issues with his mason. His mason doesn't want to come up and do any work until it's cleaned, so it's pushed his project back just a little bit. But it'll be done before the end of summer, so he's right on track as far as we're concerned.
Thank
But
you.
it's moving really, it's moving along very well. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So,
Hey Ray, let me know.
Thanks, Rick.
I can bring my engine up. I have 1,000 gallons of water on it.
yeah, okay. All
And I
right,
have the garden hose.
yeah, we can
Already.
get a couple of them on, like number 4, number 1.
I can sit there for a little bit longer period and
Yeah.
amount of water
All right.
that we have on ours. So if you need help with that, it's on.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. I'll give you a call here,
Yeah.
in a letter.
That's fine.
All right, thanks.
Give me a call.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rick.
guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Rick.
Brian.
All right, so we're gonna go next to the public comment section. Any public comments? All right. Please state your name, address.
Good evening, my name is Brad Petriga, and I'm here tonight representing my family, which includes myself and my wife, my 2 young sons, Levi and Jude, and together we live at 1332 Margaret Street in Munhall. On June 2nd, 2023, my wife and my son and I witnessed a large plume of smoke coming from 1336 Margaret Street from our backyard. When I went to investigate, it was clear to me that the structure was on fire. I called 911 and several units from various communities responded. I'd like to specifically take a moment to thank those units, including the units from Munhall. That night, several of us were displaced from our homes. My wife, son, and I stayed at a relative's house because we did not want the effects of the smoke to affect our small child. After some smoke remediation, my family was able to move back into our house. Our neighbors have not been so fortunate. The Richardsons, Randall and Maggie, who live at 1334 Margaret Street, have been displaced up until just recently. We fear the further collapse of the destroyed structure and any potential damages it may cause to neighboring properties or individuals. It is my understanding that a grant application was submitted several months ago through the Steel Rivers Council of Governments with Homestead and West Homestead. That grant application was unsuccessful. It is my further understanding that a new grant application opens up at the end of the summer, but I do not believe that this project can wait for another grant application process, as it has been over a year since the fire. My request for council is this: please devote borough funds for an expedited emergency demolition of 1336 Margaret Street. Our community has witnessed trespassers, large families of raccoons that may be rabid, living in the structure, and dangerous parts of the structure threatening neighboring properties. We cannot wait another year. I'd especially like to thank Mr. Abrams, Mr. Little, Mr. False, Mr. Yunkins, Mr. Soltez, and Mr. Elias for responding to my emails and also for their various visits to the site. I'd also like to thank Mr. Eads and Ms. Fry for their further discussions on this matter. Margaret Street has improved since we moved there in 2020, and blight such as 1336 Margaret Street prevents further progress. 1328 Margaret Street has currently been on the market now for over 2 months, and I can't help but think that structural emergencies in the community like 1336 play a role in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any emergency funds out there that can be helped out with this, that we can? And is there anything that you know that we can
Well,
apply for or get quick results rather than wait until 2025? Which it looks like to me, if we wait for that grant for August.
well, if it's emergency funds, if you're going through the grant process, you still have to go through the grant. If you're talking about just pure emergency funds, no, I'm not aware of any kind of emergency funds. But you're still gonna have to go through the bidding process, unless it's below $21,000, whatever the threshold is for 2024, on the bidding process. So it's the council's pleasure on what they wanna do, if they wanna, go to the next round of grants, or they wanna use borough funds. I mean, it's your call, whatever you wanna do. That's up to you.
I know this came up with Mr. Eads about the structure on West Street that had fire damage. And I believe Homestead Borough went ahead and took that on themselves, hoping to get reimbursed by the grants later on. So they did take it out for bid. They got a low bid, and they did that on themselves, am I right?
Yes, so it was 10,000 for the cleanup of the house at 9th West. I don't remember what the original cost was when I did the emergency demolition. That was my biggest thing I always said, as a fire chief, I'm not gonna leave a hazard like this where it's gonna fall on someone else's house, hurt a kid, or anything like that. So yes, it looked bad down there on West Street for a couple of years, but it went through the court process. But we can't leave houses like that around town. It's bad, it's a hazard, somebody's gonna get hurt, and who's it gonna come back on? It's gonna come back to us at some point. So, I mean, we have to look at what we can do to bring that house down. They can't be up forever.
Can we get emergency funds too, Carl?
I don't know, Rich.
We can ask.
I don't know. I think we did once before, but that was a while ago, when I was on college.
I think that they've changed a lot of the grant monies that are available. I think that a lot has changed through that for demolition of homes. There's not the money out there that used to be, but we could certainly try.
Well, we do have a rainy day fund that we're not sure what we're gonna end up with as far as what's gonna be left of that fund after Creek Street wall. But there is money available. We do have money put aside for such things.
Well, we'll hear from the engineer today, and he'll tell you what Creek Street is going to cost.
Okay.
And it's not a good number.
Should we put that out to bid, the demolition of that house, just to get an idea what it would cost?
Well, what you can do, I mean, the threshold in '23, I believe, was $21,000, and it goes up according to the CPI. It might be 21,000 and some change, it might be 22,000. Anything between 10,000 and, let's say, 22,000, you'd have to have 3 phone quotes on file. Now, Matt has a price for the demolition of that house and another house on Martha Street. Now, if a contractor said he would do it for below the $21,000, then you just need to get 2 other phone quotes in order to comply with the bidding laws of Pennsylvania. You can do it that way. If indeed you're only going to, if you're going to be using your funds. Now, if you go the grant route under Act 152, my understanding is that the county, and I'm not an expert on Act 152, my understanding is the county will do the asbestos remediation, or not remediation, but the testing. So your demolition isn't going to be that much, but then again, it'll be grant money. So your quandary here is time. Do you do it now and see if a contractor would demolish the house for less than $21,000, and you're going to have a competitive bid in that just a phone quote, it won't be a sealed bid, is the way you should do it properly. But then there would be the testing, the asbestos testing, and I assume
Yeah.
includes that.
The ones we've done in the past, it was like less than $1,000 for that, for the
Okay, all right.
asbestos testing.
So that's basically where you are.
But
I'm
in the
sorry.
case, in the case of that house, it may be too structurally unsound to even enter. So, as long as we have that certified tester sign off on it that it's unsafe, that's all we really need. And then we'll just consider the demolition as all asbestos containing materials, and they would dispose of it that way.
Well, if you, make it unsafe, the house itself, wouldn't that, get the funds a little quicker or something like that?
After talking with the lady from the COG, you save about a month either way. So Act 152 is no faster than putting it out for bid. Or that was Act 152 with the grant process. Putting it out for bid would probably be the quickest way to get it done.
I mean, I think we put out the bid. I mean, the problems on Kurt Street, I mean, these guys have been doing it for a year. They haven't been doing it for that long time.
So he has a number, he has a price on what was the estimate?
For Creek Street?
No, for the house on Margaret Street.
Margaret, I'm thinking about 25,000.
Okay. So it's above the threshold
Well, I mean, that's my,
of the bid process, is that correct? Anything under that, you can use a phone
Well,
bid?
that's Matt's, I mean,
that's just an
you
estimate.
could get a.
That's just an
contract.
estimate?
Yeah, that's just an estimate.
Okay.
I mean, I can call people tomorrow and get some phone quotes to see
Well,
where we fall.
I don't think it hurts to do a phone, I mean, to get some estimates to see what it might cost us.
I mean, we have some guys local to the area that would be willing to look at it and give us a number just to see where we stand.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
The other thing, once that mess is out of there, then there's a possibility somebody is going to say, hey, I want to buy that off sheriff's sale and build something new there and get it on the tax rolls. So the quicker we get it out, the better, right?
Or the house that's already on that street for sale,
Right.
with that eyesore gone,
Right.
might
They
spur
can sell
somebody to
quicker.
say, hey, I know, did something about that.
I mean, the houses down there are selling for, crazy numbers. I mean, over $200,000, so, I mean, we're hurting ourselves in the long run. As long as that house sits on the market, we're hurting our own
It's
tax.
not on our
dollars.
tax rolls, we're not
Right.
taking anything on it.
Okay, so we're gonna get pricing to demo, was it 1334, 36?
1336.
36. Okay. All right, any other comments? Anyone? Sure.
I have 3 abandoned houses where I live. My name's Michael Webb Ross. I live and reside at 843 Hilltop Street, Munhall, PA 15120. There are some abandoned houses there. Now, they haven't burnt down. But is there something that the borough is tied up on or have a problem with moving along with either demolition of the buildings or, that regard, to the abandonment of the buildings?
Are they structurally unsound?
I say one might be, but the other 2 aren't. But they've been abandoned for a long time, so I know your hands could probably be tied on these issues too. So,
Well, the main thing is you need to know who owns the property, I believe.
yeah.
So do you know the owners?
Well, I know I think I know the owners, okay, but I might be wrong on that. But again, where are they to be found and can they be found on several of these properties? I believe there's one guy next to me on my right, or on my left, I'm sorry. There's somebody that bought that house, but they're not doing nothing with it, so as long as they're paying taxes, they're okay, right? So you
Well,
can't
that doesn't necessarily mean that they're okay if they're paying taxes and the property has something that's you know, that's wrong with it, then they should be cited for, you know, for the problems that are on their property. And that would be Dave's job to go out and make sure that they are,
There's,
they're not
the
not
street
in
you're talking
disrepair.
about, there's one guy who's 848, I've taken him to the magistrate before. The other lady died. And,
848, I believe, is in development.
right, it's these,
Okay, so I've met and talked to that gentleman, and he seems to be, you know,
Right.
trying to abide by, you know, the
yeah,
rules, you know.
but he was taken to the magistrate last year.
Yeah.
The one lady passed away, Mrs. Trent, up on, around the corner. The other lady, can't find her. And the house up top, Houseworks, they just went to the magistrate today. They
How
start,
about 900 Hilltop?
900, he's being taken to the magistrate. There's someone living there.
There's someone living there?
Mhm.
Oh, the grass is as high as the porch.
They're being taken to the magistrate.
I mean, there we see animals going in and out.
There's actually someone living there.
Yeah, that used to be quite frequent drug house. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's what it turned into. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know if that goes along with.
Two of the houses are in share sale process.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it takes a while for that.
Yeah, it's a long process.
It's a process.
And Mike, part of the problem is, what you just spoke about was, they don't know who the actual owner is. Like you said, we don't know who that person is.
Mhm.
And just referring to 1336 Margaret Street, they don't know who that owner is. They're probably dead and gone, and there's no relatives, so that presents a whole,
Ties your hands.
it presents a whole list of problems. So, at least Dave is on the ball up there.
And before I used to,
working on
I
it.
wouldn't mind tearing down houses, but once you tear down a house, you have zero revenue for the next 20 years.
Are you saying for the borough?
Yes. And then our guys have to cut. We have cut like 33 empty lots right now.
Me and the neighbor, we try to keep
Yeah.
care of one next to my property. I'm at 843, but we try to keep the neighborhood, you know, and abide by, you know, to be friendly with neighbors and to keep our property up to speed, you know, up to date. But that was just something I was curious about, to find out what could be done. And when you got those issues, it becomes a real problem.
We have a committee with blight and abandoned properties, and we've looked at different things, but actually the share sale is probably the best process to go through right now. But it takes time and it takes money. To start a share sale process takes $5,000.
I have, to end that on that note, I have some other issues, but should I wait for that?
Other issues on other homes up there, or neighbors?
I have a small issue with my street, okay? I know that the borough's planning on resurfacing and maybe redoing some engineering work on 843 Hilltop Street, but I'm having a flooding issue that's coming, water runoff that's coming off where the street's collapsing into my property. And there is a solution that I have a retainer wall there, but the retainer wall could be slid up to solve the problem, but, you know, to lift them block are an issue. But with the fact that the borough's gonna be doing the streets eventually, okay, you know, as far as resurfacing and maybe taking a look at the guardrails on the streets, issues like engineering issues, but the water's undermining the road there and it's collapsing in. And I have pictures I can show you of the situation, and you can simply use the block that are there to step it up properly to where it comes down to the street, if that's possible.
What I think, and just me, I think what should be done is Dave should go out there and look at that, and the engineer could take a look at that as well on Hilltop, and he would be a better person than anyone to look at. So that, we can do that. If you give us the address, where this is at. What was your address again?
843 Hilltop Street.
Okay. All right.
And like I said, it could be a simple solution that can help, and I know you got plans to redoing, I don't know if you do on the books or not.
We do have plans on repaving Hilltop Street, I believe. Wasn't that one of one of your streets, guys?
It is.
So they will be looking at it, and honestly, is the wall on your property or is the wall on borough property?
The wall is most likely on my property, because
Okay.
they built that wall for me.
Who built the wall? That's the biggie.
A private contractor hired by the borough.
Gotcha.
There it is.
Okay. And when was that done? How long ago?
Oh, I would estimate that was done maybe 25 years ago, if not 30 years ago.
I think he's building another wall.
Well, you said a private contractor did it.
No, we still pay for it.
Okay.
But it's not a big, I mean, the big problem is the water drainage on the road. So whether engineering would have a better, you know, I don't know if you're gonna use LiDAR or anything like that, I don't know if you're gonna go to that extent, but there's definitely water drainage issues. Okay, and that becomes a problem.
Well, I'm sure our engineer will take a look at it, and now that we're aware of it, they can look at it and see, because we are planning on paving that street, I believe, one of the
Yeah,
streets we're looking
that's
at.
kind of like why I want to bring it to your attention. I do have pictures on my phone to show.
If you want to wait till after the meeting, you can show it to the gentleman, and we can do that.
I can show it to you. You get a better idea, and you can see what I see, because to me, it's just like, the blocks are there, just move them up.
You gonna be
You know, it
around,
might be as simple as that.
will you be around tomorrow?
Yes. I can show you those pictures after the meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming. Any other public comments?
I would like to say something, Rick. On the agenda for tonight, Larry Stahl with the outside, using outside tables and chairs on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I know there are people in the audience. I would like them to say something, what their opinions are, but I wish Larry was here so that we could talk to him, okay?
Well, we can still talk. Larry doesn't have to be here, we can still talk about this.
Okay.
It's on the agenda for community and property, who's that?
That would be good.
I know. So we can talk about that.
Okay.
All right?
I told him he should have just put his tables there because everybody else got them on Main Street.
Well, that's not what he's done, and that's not where we're at.
So can we discuss it later when we
Can
get to that issue?
we can. We're gonna go through our standing reports, and we can go that, and we'll talk about it then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. Okay, so are there any other comments? All right, so we're gonna move to our standing reports. Finance Director?
We have no finance report, maybe we'll have one next week.
Okay.
It's the best we can do.
All right,
Hopefully I'll talk to Tim and John, we'll get something together for next week.
all right, thank you. Public Works? Bob?
We
Anything?
didn't have any meetings this month.
Okay. All right. Parks and Rec?
I do. Kevin, myself, and Rick we met on Monday, June 3rd, and I had talked with Ray Highland, who just was here, and he told me about the Kennedy Park with his son as the Eagle Scout project, and the one up on Main Street. And being that they presented the facts, I said, you know, that's wonderful, and if you need help, please get to us. Then, while we were together, Kevin, Rick, and I went up to Vine Street Playground, which is one of our two that we put the grant money towards last year. And there were 2 adults and 2 kids there. They are tickled pink to have that park up there. They said it is being used. They did make some comments that they would like, when the borough cuts the shrubs or whatever at the back end, please haul the cuttings away. I said, I don't think that's too hard to ask, we will do that. Remove the branches and cuttings by the back fence. They also mentioned there are cars trying to come in that back gate. Maybe we should shut that gate, because that's only going to do damage to the park by the zins.
Half the gate.
Oh.
That way people can walk through.
That way people can walk through, do not drive their car through.
Right.
Okay? They loved the fact that the trees up there are being maintained. they said those streets were becoming eyesores and bad, and right now, they look wonderful and fabulous. I was happy to hear that, and I have to say that we did get it. So, Rick mentioned about the US Steel property down there, 7.5 acres that we have. We're going to have to discuss that, and that's going to be talked about this year, to see what ideas can be done, what thoughts could be there, but between that railroad and US Steel, it's like trying to move mountains to get anything done. But we'll work. That's my report.
On the Vine Street one, I did have one neighbor that's asked me several times, and, I mean, they didn't want a basketball hoop. I don't know if that's ever mentioned to anybody else.
No, that's not been mentioned, but, we can there used to be basketball hoops up
Yeah.
there.
That's what they're complaining
I
about.
was thinking that we might do bocce ball or something up there, is
Yeah.
what I would like to see done for elderly, for seniors to go up there and use the park. That's where the old basketball courts were, if you look at it, and I think, I would like to look into that as well. That's
Yeah, I mean, I just
just
don't know if it
something.
should be a whole court, but I think they want just, a
hoop.
hoop, where, pretty similar down to Trout.
We can look at it. What we did notice was a lot of people parking there in the spots that we have, and there was no one in the park but 2 people. So there was people I think the neighbors were just parking there and using the parking that's there for their own parking spots. So we did notice that. And Bob, just so you know, what Reedy's talking about is the fence that's all the way to the back of the property. It's not it's not cuttings in the ground. It's overgrown and grown up through the fence. It really needs to be cut and pulled off the fence and that whole area cleaned up back there. If you know where I'm talking about.
Yep.
Good, just so you know. And I'm sure they'll take care of that.
And even on the very front of the fence, there's minor vines
Yeah,
growing up that could be taken care of.
They'll take care of all.
Before
They'll
it's
take
out
care of
of
all.
control.
When we were at Troutman on opening day, Dave Colasani asked about having lines painted on the half court at the Troutman field. There's a hoop there, but no lines. I said I'd bring it up, so I just put it up.
Okay. Can look at that. Bob, are you any good at painting lines?
Oh, absolutely.
Need the foul shot in there and the 3-point play.
There used to be quite a lot of basketball that was played at Troutman Field in
Summer
years
leagues
gone
were
by.
unbelievable.
Yep. Years
Tim Little
gone
played there,
by.
I'm sure.
I played a little bit there that day.
Yep.
More than a little.
So we do have a basketball court that's right on Westfield property here. And I would love to see some young men playing basketball over there and some actual, what did you say? Leagues. Yes, thank you.
We can make sure it's open too, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we get there and play.
Oh, there you go. I think it would be a great idea myself. I'm all in favor of that. Anything else, Rini, or is that your
that's
report?
it.
All
That's my
right.
report.
Can we have our code enforcement officer give us a report?
Yeah, you have a copy of my report, I'll just briefly read it. Building permits 7 issued, occupancy inspections 22, lien letters sent out 11, code enforcement letters 62, and had 3 court hearings. That concludes my report.
Any questions for our code enforcement officer, counsel? Okay, Public Works?
Well, we're doing our usual, cutting grass, patching holes,
Okay.
painting lines on Main Street.
I did notice lines being painted somewhere else.
Handicap lines we've been painting.
I'm talking on the streets. Where did I see that?
County was doing, county
Yeah,
roads.
they were doing it, right. And, you know, we always got a little pushback, well, we can't paint our streets. We should be painting our streets. I think we should have double yellow lines up down Main Street. But that's just me.
Parking lines.
Parking lines would be nice too. Just thoughts, okay?
Well, what would it take to do that? Paint double yellow lines on Main Street?
I think we should let Bob look into that and talk, and come back and talk to us, and maybe we could do that before the summer's out.
I don't think the borough do it.
Can we do that, Bob?
Yes.
We can. There you go. Part of one of the big problems I see is right down here on West Street, where you turn from West Street to 22nd Avenue. I see so many close encounters at that intersection there, where people are making the bend real wide this way and real narrow the other way. I see that as being a real problem at times. Also, I do see problems here with the batch this past couple weeks. They've had a lot of events there with parking, and that parking, they're parking right up against the crosswalk there. And if there's kids in there and they walk out there, I brought this up in the past, that's a problem that we're gonna have to deal with. So council, I'm just making you aware of that again. I brought this up in the past. I think we need to have some parking limitations on that crosswalk and have you know, a little better signage there. I don't know what needs to be done, but they park right against there. And, you know, when they have a lot of big events, there's no place to park anywhere. They take our spot up over there. They're all parked everywhere, anywhere you can imagine. So just bringing that to everyone's attention again. All right, so go ahead.
So I've been talking with a lot of people, I guess they're, Bob, I'm sure you got it too, very unhappy with the stoplight situation on Main and 22nd, right there across from Subway.
I've been talking to my wife.
I was gonna bring it up too.
Yeah.
It's really long.
It's, so people are backed up, like all the way up past, you know, the dog plate, yeah, I mean, so maybe, I don't know whose responsibility that was, ours or when they.
It's ours, but it's gonna be a $10,000 repair.
So could we get them lights adjusted to work differently?
We tried it,
No.
but without them sensors in the ground, it doesn't.
Don't the police do that, chief? Don't they regulate the signs?
No.
They don't
We
put
have
it-
a key that we can put it on flash and we can get out in direct traffic, which we have done in the past, but no, we don't. There's a traffic control we call, I don't know, but I'm sure Bob deals with them too, and there's nothing more we can do without that sensor.
Bob, what seems to be the problem with that one?
When they did a repair down there, they ripped out the cage in the ground.
The loop in the ground.
Yeah.
That has to be put back in.
We didn't.
We didn't get any kind of estimate or anything?
Yeah, $10,000.
$10,000.
How many years ago?
That was 2 years ago.
Sensor.
Who ripped it out, Bob?
Somebody was a subcontractor for the water company. But we didn't mark it because we didn't know we were responsible for marking it.
Okay.
PA1 call, they weren't.
Yeah, we didn't know we were supposed to mark the line.
So we can't go after them for that.
No.
Okay. Engineers report?
So Ravine Street still remains the same. Looks, I drove past her this evening, it looks still be stable. I did some cost estimate before I got here, and you're looking at around $800,000.
Wow, I thought it was 600.
Yeah, 600 was stuck on there from last month. So it's up to you guys, because we need to get a stream crossing permit from the Conservation District for them to access the bottom half of that hillside. So if we want to go down that road, put it out for bid, see where the numbers come in at. I mean, it's up to the board whether we have the money in the budget to do it, or we continue to sit and wait for grants. I mean, like I said, it's intact, it's not going anywhere. I think we have time.
I would have to agree with you.
Something to think about.
It hasn't moved.
So, again, I know that there's really not many finance that we can really get for landslides. Am I correct?
Correct. I know it's on the agenda for the dirt and gravel thing through the Conservation District, so that's a grant that we could apply for to at least get some money from it.
Okay. What do you think we can get through that process, possibly?
Generally, they only give you like 120,000, but
Okay.
they might go up to 200 since it's your first application.
Okay.
Do you think that hillside would last the winter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't had any really bad rain events since then, but that'll tell the tale.
So do we have to put someone in that position to attend those classes?
Yes.
So we need to do that.
Well, it's further on the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the agenda.
All right, very good.
So that's that one. Paving, you have the revised spreadsheet in your packets.
Okay.
After we looked at all the roads, I recalculated some numbers and I got us down to under budget.
Good. I haven't looked at it yet, so I'll have to look at it.
And it hits all the spots that are really bad right now.
Okay.
So you're getting the worst of the worst done.
And that's what we asked you to do.
Yeah.
Last meeting, we asked him to look at that and revise and come back with us, so.
And I think you're getting a lot done for that price.
Okay.
So, you guys will vote to award that tonight. That'd be great. We can get that moving. Ravine Street traffic study, I just met with the chief this afternoon and got the revised data for Ravine Street with the sign off. And it looks like it worsened a little bit. So I would advise going through Translates and getting them to do the study.
Okay.
But I'm gonna send this to him tomorrow, have him look at it, compare it to the first one.
Who are you gonna send it to?
The guy from Trans Studies who
Okay.
reviewed the first data. I mean, he already said that they'd be eligible, but I wanted to say, hey, we're definitely eligible for a study and possibly speed.
And is the study for speed bumps, is that what this is?
Traffic calming of some sort, not
Okay.
necessarily straight speed bumps.
Okay, calming, I like that new term.
And then lastly, the demos we discussed.
Right.
I'm gonna call tomorrow with a few people and see if we can get some quotes to see where we
Okay.
stand.
All right.
If we're over the bid threshold, then we'll just put it out to bid and
Okay.
go from there. I mean,
All right. That's all you can do.
I would say that we're not gonna be any more than 30,000.
Okay.
And then Tim and I have been in contact with the COG. I think any other demos that we wanna do within the borough, we get a list together, give it to the COG, so we can get them on the application for late summer, early fall.
Okay. Do you think it can be done late summer, early fall?
The list?
Just the list.
Just the
Just
list.
We need to know what we're demoing before we can apply. So that-
Right.
So that they're all applied for at the same time.
Okay.
And then how that works is, say you have 5 houses and, maybe we only get like 50,000, enough to do 2, 3 houses. So then you do the 3 houses and those other 2 go on to the next year. Just keep applying for money every year.
Right. Anything else?
That's all I have.
That's great. I gotta look at your road report, because I've not been able to look at that yet, so I'm interested in reading that. Any questions for our engineer council? All right, we'll move forward then. We'll move to our fire chief. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. President. You guys have a copy of my report. For the month of May, the Bureau of Fire responded to 49 calls, 27 in town and 22 mutual aid requests. Our average times to be en route to the call is 4 minutes and 23 seconds. And from dispatch to on scene is 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Nothing much going on after a busy month last month, but we are scheduled for all of our pump, ground ladder, and aerial ladder testing for next week. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you, chief. Police chief?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council has a copy of my report. For the month of May, officers responded to 716 calls for service. We made 35 arrests. We conducted 115 traffic stops and issued 103 traffic citations. This past Saturday, Officer Boney held our the department's annual bike safety event. We had 15 kids participate in the event. We gave out 15 helmets for free, and we fixed 3 bikes that had some safety issues. And finally, we have another borough resident that would like to be an intern. He's currently a student at the University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown. He's studying criminal justice and would like to intern over the summer. That's all I have.
What does that mean?
Paid intern?
No. Like, it's just like a ride-along program, basically. Like the females we just had, it's the same thing. They need 120 hours, and that goes towards getting their degree.
Okay.
So what they do, they just ride along with us, see how the police department works. Any serious calls, we drop them off at predetermined locations. And
Chief, have we done this before?
yeah, we've done it several times.
Okay, because my first thought on that is the insurance company and contacting them for liability, and I would assume they've already, and that even goes before Eagles got here, I would contact the insurance company tomorrow on the liability, which I assume is okay. That's been done in other communities. I mean, they
She
should.
does have a waiver that they
Yeah,
send.
there's a packet they have to fill out that was approved by the solicitor.
They need, what, 120 hours, Tom?
Yes.
So Chief, 716 calls, is that a lot?
That's about
Average
for the summer.
Really? That seems like a lot of calls. Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions for our chief? Okay, Borough Manager?
Yeah, council has a copy of my report. More than half of this is just continuing on with Mr. Abrams, former manager, did. The wall work done at 844 and 846 Ravine, that's complete, right, Bob? You mentioned that was...
Oh, we're almost done.
Pardon me?
We'll be done this week.
It'll be done this week, okay, so that'll be done this week. And we talked about the Creek Street landslide. Caitlin Kierhart from the Army Corps of Engineers and Steve Wilharm of Allegheny County Emergency Management had a conversation with them, and a letter has to be developed, which Matt is in the process of doing, prioritizing the Creek Street landslide for the hazard mitigation. That has to be reprioritized. Okay, try to say that 3 times, 5 times. Reprioritized. Okay. So that letter right now is being developed by Matt. Actually, before I started working there, I walked Main Street with reconstruction with Matt and Seth before Seth left, and an estimate's going to be forthcoming with that. And all those projects have been reviewed and are in the process of getting started. As far as Margaret Street, I mentioned to Rick and a couple other, we have a fire escrow account, which I'm reviewing right now. And Council, don't hold your breath, and Brad, don't hold your breath on that, because I believe we have about $30,000 in the fire escrow. But that money, I believe, and I haven't ascertained, because there's money that's moved in and out of that account, and I haven't ascertained the $30,000 that's in there, what it is earmarked for, all right? Maybe we'd get lucky or something. I can't see getting lucky, because that money comes from insurance companies, and it's supposed to be earmarked for other fires that have occurred in the community, but I'm in the process of looking at that right now. Okay, as far as the Homestead Storm Sewer Project, Amanda Ludet, the manager down there, called me, and they said that they're not going to need a street opening permit for on the other side, which is Munhall, which is us. They're not going to go that far. So I mentioned to council last month that we would need a street opening permit, but that's not going to be required.
Okay.
I talked with Dan Stoltes, is that the way you pronounce his last name? Soltes, I'm sorry. And it's on there for next week with respect to, he has, I can't say they have divided their duties with Commonwealth Consulting, as he was here and gave a presentation last month, and he has Nova Strategy, and next week on the voting meeting, at the council meeting, consideration for voting on his contract, which is in your packet. Okay, I don't know that much about the Carnegie Library grant, but that is custom where in libraries it has to go through the municipality. I'm not up to speed on that. Grant applications for Main Street and potential reuse study of 1900 West Street. A presentation was given on that last month by Rich Mance, I believe his last name was, and it's obviously up to council on how they want to proceed on that. What I did do, I did talk to Dan today about the NIBRS grant. That's in, Tom, I think he talked with you. Maybe he talked with you too? No. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, no, he talked to Jamie, I'm sorry. That's due this Thursday, and between Jamie and I, we're getting the information together in order for that grant. That's NIBRS is National Incident. Help me out, Tom. It's about reporting to the feds, actually, through the county, all the different crime reports and statistics that go to the feds. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette had a big article about that 2 months ago in the paper, how Pennsylvania is one of the worst states as far as reporting all their crime rates to Washington, D.C. We're getting that together. I also had a Zoom meeting with Duquesne Light on the, not so much the refuse trucks, but on the charging stations. And basically, when they went through, I said, look, I interrupted them about 3/4 of the way through it, and I said, you're gonna have to impart this information on a permanent manager that's coming in there. So I told them to save their breath on that. But that's all in the works, and there seems to be some confusion about when these three electric garbage trucks are gonna be coming in. Seth told me they'll be in at the end of the year in December. And Dan said that they're not gonna be in for a year to 18 months, so I don't know what the truth is on that, I don't know. Okay, but the charging stations obviously are going to be needed. Worked with, on the IT consultant, Nick Shalalis. And this was from Seth, moving the Department of Public Works and the field press box into circuit within the 1 RB way is in progress. And remove another Comcast service account and set up the borough up to meet with the need of the EV charger, which I just mentioned. One thing I did work, last week Nick came in here, the outside IT consultant, and he updated all the equipment that we received at Woodhill Park. So internet should be available up at Woodhill Park. He did all that last week. Okay? And that basically concludes my report, unless anybody has any questions, either council or the public.
So, the charging stations that you're talking about, I believe there's gonna be a charging station in the back for the trucks.
Oh, yeah, I would
But I thought they were talking about maybe put one in the front possibly as well for other uses. I'm not sure.
I
wonder if you
can't
did.
answer that, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that one.
All right. And then, just talking about some of your stuff that you talked about, I talked with Munhall Cares Group, and Kevin and I and Bob walked through the old municipal building, and it has been cleaned out pretty well. And I talked with Bob about maybe, and I offered speaking to Munhall Cares about maybe them moving into the garage in there again, which they were very responsive to that. So I'm just informing council on the conversation that we had. The area of the police garage, we store some stuff in there now, but Bob could move stuff around, is what he told us. We could find room to vacate that garage and possibly use that in there for the Munhall Cares Group in that area. And I thought, I wouldn't want to express their use of that anymore into the building, but I would think it might be nice for them to use the garage. And they could use the parking facility out there, and they could have some stuff out there as well.
And a restaurant.
Just a thought. Well, we'd have to have a bathroom for them, absolutely.
It would be nice to bring them back, because right now they're in Homestead.
They're not happy there.
No, they're not. It's too small for them.
So I'm gonna bring this out again publicly that I think it would be nice for them to talk with us, and we can certainly move forward if council chooses to. I'm only one person.
Well, they also need places where they can put their racks to put the stuff on. They can't just put it in the garage because they're gonna have so much stuff. They were storing stuff at the school authority because they had so much room. We had room in the garage.
Well, the garage is pretty big.
I'm just saying.
And they do have a storage lock-up room that they can lock up in there, in that garage as well. So how much space they need, I don't know.
I don't think the garage would be bigger than they have right now at the Presbyterian Church on Ninth.
I'm talking about for storage too. Though.
Yeah, I mean, for their,
store.
well, for their, you know, for their free store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
so that's what it would be mainly used
So,
for. The
you know,
free store.
it's a start, and if they want to talk with us, we certainly can. Okay? Just informing council on where that's going. And we also learned that that building has a problem with the furnace working there. And as we were walking through the building, I'm looking at the walls and saying, why are we losing some of this here? And it wasn't until I asked Bob a little further, I said, what's going on here? And he told me that he can't get anyone to come look at the boiler system there. And I informed him that I would talk to a friend of mine who I know is very good with boilers and furnaces. And if council wants me to, I'll have him come and look at it for the borough and have him take a look at the furnace.
Needs fixed.
Because honestly, we can't go through another year because I don't know when it broke. I was never up to privy when this thing happened.
There's no heat, there's no heat in the room.
There was no heat there in the winter. All the water's been drained down, which is good. I mean, I'm walking through the building and, you know, I'm a trained plumber. All the faucets are open, I'm looking, I'm saying, what's going on? And I see peelings, paint here and there, I'm like, I surmised that was, but when Bob said we couldn't get anyone to fix it, and we had other contractors come in and they never came back, I said, well, I'll make sure that we get someone in there this.
That has to be a priority.
It will be, and I'm gonna handle that priority personally. So I will make sure that happens, and I told Bob I'll give him contact information. I'll talk to him first and see if he wants to come and do it as well.
Why don't we put the free store on the second floor up here? Put them upstairs here.
I'd like to use that building there for something. And if I think that's a great spot right there. They have parking right there for themselves. There's a parking lot right there.
I'm saying, you just want to pay utilities, you don't pay anything.
We gotta heat the building no matter what. If you don't heat the building, you might as well knock the building down.
Now that we mentioned about this building, do you know last meeting when we had all the kids here,
Yeah.
the doors downstairs were locked and people couldn't get in. I
Well,
found out the next day, I was sitting with somebody with Rini. They were downstairs trying to get up with their kids, and that door downstairs was locked, they couldn't get in.
Not good.
I know.
Not a good thing. There was another thing that I wanted to talk about as well that you were mentioning about. Before the meeting over, I'll go over my notes and review that again. Oh, I want to talk about Main Street, about the pizza company, because we sort of skipped over that over at the top here, the seating up there. So I want to talk with council about it because we're going to vote on this next week about do we allow him to have seating and tables up there, and he needs the approval of the borough to serve liquor up there on the sidewalk. So that's a discussion point that we can discuss today. I don't know what's going on with the other restaurant there. They have 3 little tables sitting up there in front there. What's the name of the place? Wolf's? Which they did not have there last year. I don't remember it being there last year. I remember seeing on the side.
Yeah, they've had it since COVID. It's been out there.
I don't remember that, but I don't ever remember them coming to the borough and asking permission.
I know it was there last year, I sat out there one day.
Okay.
So it was there last year.
Foxes never came to the borough after permission either.
Well, and Dave, did Dave did you?
No, the reason why, like, you gotta remember, during the pandemic, they, the federal government, the state asked to open seating up for restaurants and bars so that they could remain open during the pandemic.
Okay,
So that's why Fox's, there was, I think, the first one that started was Main Street Deli that was up there. They were the first ones that had seating. Then Fox's had seating, and then Wolf's had seating.
okay.
Now,
So-
I brought Larry in front of you guys because pretty much the pandemic's kind of
The
over.
pandemic's over.
So,
Right. And Tim and I did speak with the LCB. We called their office and asked them for procedures about this. And through our conversation, they do need our approval to do that. And I don't know what Foxes and Wolves are gonna need, if they do need it, but certainly, I think if we go forward with this and allow them to do that, what I took from our conversation, and Tim can verify this, is we can approve them for a day. They can have it for a day, a permit for a day there to have seating out there. We can approve it for a month. We could approve it for 6 months. We could approve it indefinitely. So I would think if it was up to me, if we choose to approve it, I would say let's approve it for 6 months. Let's see if they have any issues or problems, because I know that alcohol can bring an ugly eye up at any minute and give you a black eye.
They're
So
allowed to bring alcohol on the sidewalk.
that's what he's asking for. He's asking to be able to serve alcohol on the sidewalk and food.
Is that legal to?
I believe it is, I believe. Now, whether Wolves it's legal for them, I don't know. That's not my job to check on that. Now, I do know that if you have seating, outside seating, and you have a restaurant, no matter if you're serving alcohol or not, that outside seating counts in your occupancy of what you're doing. So you have to have bathroom facilities to accommodate your regular seating of your building and the outside seating. So I don't know if that's all taken into consideration or not, but I know that that does come into play as far as permitting goes from the health department. So these are gonna be something that we need to talk about, and if we're gonna vote on this, because it says here, items for consideration for the next meeting, pizza company, sidewalk, dining, seating. So, I'm bringing it up so that we have a discussion, so we can talk about it and be prepared for the meeting next week. So I'm gonna open the floor up for discussion with you guys, council.
How far is there bathrooms from the outdoor seating?
The bathrooms from his facility are downstairs into the bar area. But it's kind of up in the air because the bathrooms upstairs for the pizza shop, they're not open to the public. They're shut off back there now. And he has no seating up there inside the pizza shop right now, but he's allowed to serve alcohol. I believe, that's what he said, I believe, last week.
Upstairs.
I believe in the pizza shop, he's allowed to serve alcohol. So I think what he told me was he wanted to serve from the pizza shop and alcohol out front, but he's allowed to do that, he says. So, I don't know if he has gonna have them bathrooms open upstairs or not, to answer your question. His bathrooms are in the basement. You go down into the bar and into the basement.
Okay.
All right?
Rick, I would like to start off by saying, I live right around the corner from Larry Stahl's place that he's questioning. My feeling is a sidewalk is a sidewalk. All of you who are familiar with Main Street know there's a lot of walkers, joggers, people in wheelchairs, people pushing babies, dogs, and people with dogs and babies. Now, he says he's only going to use 6 feet of a 12-foot sidewalk. And my initial thoughts are, if somebody's pushing and somebody's eating food and drops the food, is the baby, is the child, is the jogger, are they safe? If people start, I live right around the corner. It is a residential area. You open the door to let them, Fox's is already open, further down, but Fox's doesn't serve alcohol. And they're closed at 7 o'clock. I wish Larry was here because I would like him to tell us exactly what time is that bar allowed to be open until. I do not use an air conditioner in the summer. I'm old-fashioned and I raise my windows. I like the quietness after 10 o'clock at night. And many of us who are in this room, I hope you all speak up so that I'm not alone, will vouch. He doesn't have that on Main Street now, but he has it going on in the back. And
No, he
there's-
doesn't. Not yet, not yet. He's planning on building in the back.
Right, but the loud noises
Oh, I don't know.
are, yeah, we live there, Rick, and
Okay.
trust me.
Does he serve, does he serve in the back, you're telling me?
No, I don't know.
Doors open now.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean that people don't go out back.
Right. All of you are aware of how many restaurants, bars are on Main Street. Okay? First it was Fox's, then it was Wolf's. Now it's going, if we allow it, it's going to open up. When the Hungarian Club or the old Pido's open, they hear the, they could go outside also. This is only opening the door, in my estimation. You are opening a door for a lot of chaos for people who are in a residential area.
What about the people who had the seating outside? Did they have any trouble?
I can't talk for them because I
I
don't know.
checked Wolf's and we were never called.
No.
Yep. And honestly, that's why I would only approve it for 6 months. I wouldn't give them carte blanche and say, oh, we're gonna approve it for you forever.
like a trial.
I would give it to them 6 months as a trial, and then the next year I would say, okay,
6 months
give you
again.
6 months again, and then we'll see how we go.
Were there, I think we can limit the times too.
Well, I don't know that.
I think we can. I don't think you
I
can
don't know that.
have it open till 2 o'clock in the morning or midnight.
Yes, ma'am.
I live around the corner too.
You
and-
need to give us your name and address.
Oh, I'm
Because
sorry.
if you're gonna speak, we're keeping records on who's
Okay.
speaking, so please give us your name and
Okay,
address.
Sandy Matthews, 113 Emerson Avenue, round the corner from the bar. That's a big mistake, I'm sorry. That bar has been a problem forever, as long as I've lived there. And it actually, last year, I mean, this person owned it then. There was a chaotic situation where a woman went up to get a pizza, got drunk, her kids came in looking for her. She came down Emerson Avenue and fell right on her head. I mean, the kids were screaming, they were teenagers, they were screaming. My neighbor came out, she was like, oh my God, Sandy, I don't know what to do. She was crawling with blood dripping from her, you know? And how did she get that drunk getting a pizza? That's the first thing, okay? So, and I agree with Rainey, you know, I mean, this is a residential area. These people come out there yelling and hollering and everything, and there's not enough room on the sidewalk for seating. I mean, it's different if you're a restaurant and you're closing at 7 o'clock, and you're a bar and you're closing at 2, and they're gonna be sitting out there. Also, I read in the borough stuff, you're not allowed to have open containers of alcohol out on the street. So if people are sitting there drinking, if you think they're not gonna migrate, because I know my friends would, and go here and there and up the street and down the street with alcohol, my opinion is that's a big mistake. I don't wanna listen to people screaming and yelling and.
Understood.
And when he was gonna build that deck in the back, there was garbage
He's planning on
everywhere.
doing that now, from what I've heard, and that he says he's allowed to do it now.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, I don't know.
Well, he better take care of the rats, because when I came home from work one day, and Tom was living there, Tom was complaining, I said, well, you ought to go up, I just had to walk around a rat that was in the alley there, so you better take care of those too.
Okay, all right. Any other comments from the public about this? Please stand up, give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Ron Demblowski, I live at 129 West Virginia, so I'm about 100 yards down from the intersection there where the stoplight is. First of all, I would favor a trial basis. I don't know about 6 months. I haven't had problems with the noise, of course I get to bed early. But a factor is, as Reenie brought up, it is a sidewalk. I did go up there the other day, and I measured it, yes, 12 feet. But if you take the street lights that are there, that really knocks off a foot, 2 feet. So really, you're only talking about 10 feet.
It constrains it a little bit. I looked at it as well.
So I kept thinking of all different scenarios, you know, a couple walking hand in hand, one way, the other. I said, I don't know if these tables can be moved, whether people will move the tables to group them together, like for larger groups. I have no idea. But I do want the businesses to thrive. I don't know how important this is to Mr. Stahl. Those are just some of the factors I'd like to think about.
Well, it's very important to him, because he accosted me on Main Street, and I had a thorough conversation with him. And I think if we gave him a 6-month trial, he's not going to be, no one's going to sit out there in the wintertime and drink beer and eat food there. So it would be until the end of the summer sometime this year, and then next year it would come again. So I think that's a reasonable way to see what happens. Because like you said, at any time, we want them to thrive and we want them to be successful, and it's nothing personally against him. But alcohol brings a whole different realm to any situation, because it can raise its ugly eyebrow and affect people's lives in a moment's notice. It can change the whole situation.
I'm concerned about the hours.
Well, we can certainly ask. I mean,
Yeah, I'd look into it, see if you can, have it shut off at 10 or.
well, we'll see it. Hopefully he'll come in here next week and he'll give us a little explanation. I was surprised he wasn't here tonight.
He's asked me about the same questions, probably that he said about you, Rick.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he would be, he did bring up to me that he would shut it off at a certain time on the outside.
Okay.
Probably when we close the pizza shop.
It's not closing at 10.
I think 9 or 10.
10.
Yeah, probably.
Pizza
Well,
shop's not available anymore.
I think we should talk to our solicitor as well and ask him, what kind of liability do we have if we allow him to do that and someone's there drinking and they fall on the sidewalk? Is it still our sidewalk? Where does that lie in there as well? I mean, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked and talked about. And that's why I wanted to open it up and talk about it tonight, rather than just come and vote on it last week. Now, if you remember last month when he was here, we didn't have any information from him at all. We didn't know what he wanted, and Tim said that he did have information, and he thought he sent it to us, but it just didn't get sent out, if you remember correctly.
Did other council members get it?
No.
It was not in your, this was not, this
It was
was
on
on
our email.
Well, it was in your packet last month.
I got it. I saw the little diagram.
Yeah, I seen that last
You
month.
got an email on that?
But it was after the meeting that he was here.
I don't remember what it
After.
was.
No.
It was after
Yeah,
that.
we got it in March.
I know, this is June.
Right.
March.
No,
No,
May.
we got it in May. We got it in May.
April. We did not talk about it last month. We pushed it off because we had the kids
No,
here.
he was here.
No, he was not here last month.
He was here at the workshop.
I think he came at the workshop.
He was at the workshop. He was here.
He was here for the workshop.
Yes.
At the workshop, this was in your packets at the workshop.
Yeah.
And the third graders, that was the following week, so
So
we
this
tabled
was
that
at
issue.
your stations at the dais at last month's workshop.
Okay.
So it was May.
It was dated May 15th here. It said.
So I have a question, comment, whatever you want to call it. If another establishment has sidewalk seating they are already serving alcohol and food on the sidewalk. I know that they also have a, a fenced-in area that they use.
Right.
But that's not a sidewalk. But they do have the 3 tables. How do you plan on possibly denying this person by wanting to do the same thing that's already
I don't know if you
established?
can or not,
Right.
but I don't know that they're legally doing that.
And so then, we don't know if the other establishment ever,
They've never applied for a permit here through council to serve alcohol on Main Street.
so if this second, I'm playing
We
devil's
need-
advocate here.
We need to look at that establishment and ask them if they have permission from us,
Correct.
and if they have permission from the state to do that.
Yeah, because if the second establishment is denied, then I'm sure he's gonna take it a step further and say, you got it 2 blocks down from me. A situation going on and,
They've not had permission from us,
yeah.
ever. And the question then becomes, like what Dave said earlier, he should have just went and did it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody else
He
did.
should have just went and did it.
Well,
Because
you
these
got-
people, maybe they just went and did it too.
You
I
got
don't know.
pandemic, Fox's,
He
or
did
Wolf's,
have
I mean,
the
Wolf's,
pandemic.
Wolf's had theirs up like for 2 to 3 years. So that was because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Wolf's
but that's
also,
not on the sidewalk.
yeah, on
You
the,
should
they
put it
also
on
had,
the
they had,
side.
they,
Now.
it's on the sidewalk now, but they had outside sitting. They were permitted to have outside sitting. LCB okayed it and everything, all right? That was pandemic. Remember, they told everybody, open it up for the restaurants and bars so that they could survive as a business.
And it doesn't seem like they're closing it.
But
Anywhere.
now the pandemic is pretty much over. That's why I said, Larry, you have to come in front of council to see. Because if you read our codes, you're not allowed to have any outside sales, period. So that means we're not allowed to have market days or anything. Council has waived that, saying, yeah, well, that's a good thing for the borough to have. If you read our ordinance, we're not allowed to have banners on Main Street. But people came in front of council, hey, could we put banners up? No one's complaining about banners, right? They look beautiful, right, Kevin?
The veterans band.
That's a good idea. Just because our ordinance said they weren't allowed to do it, they came in front of council and asked for the
Right.
banners and that,
Right.
years ago.
Right. Yeah, I know banners not allowed.
Yeah,
We know that.
but we opened it up. So what I'm saying is, the reason why, was allowed it was because of the pandemic.
So the reason why we're here is because he needs our permission to do it. Because he's applied to the state already to do it. And they're coming to him and saying, you need the borough's permission in writing, saying that we'll allow you to serve alcohol and food on the sidewalk. Because remember, I don't know now if maybe Wolf needs to, maybe, Wolves. Maybe they need to come to us and get a permit as well now, because the pandemic is over.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, Fox's was up like 3 years ago. They had tables up there.
Yeah, but they don't sell alcohol.
Right, they don't sell alcohol. That was the big one too.
Can you stop the alcohol from being served outside?
We cannot approve it.
I mean, if you approve it, tell them you're not allowed alcohol outside. Just a question, that's all.
What we can do is we can approve it for a day, or a month, or 2 months, or whatever time we want to give him limitation, put it on a trial basis. I say, give him 6 months, let him work through the fall, even if he wants to do that, and see how it goes.
And he's zone commercial, correct?
All Main Street is on commercial.
Just a question, that's all.
I know, and you're allowed to ask questions, absolutely, that's
So
why
give him a 6 months trial, see what happens.
I think,
Rick, can't we say that when the pizza shop shuts down, that you gotta stop selling your alcohol outside?
I think that what he's trying to push this in is working in conjunction with the pizza shop, so he may try to do that. I don't know, we need to talk to him about it, he needs to talk to us.
We can just set hours on our own though. We'll give you this permission, but 10 o'clock it's over.
We may be able to do that. We may be able to do that. I can't say we can do that, but I don't see why we couldn't do that.
The city of Pittsburgh does that. I know, I've been in the bar business for 30 years, and they could tell you, okay, you could go from June 1st to August 31st.
Right.
From, 6 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock, or you could go till 12. And it, you know, you have to have it,
There's a redacted
Yeah.
sample of a permit, as
Yeah.
Dave is saying, in your packet from the city of Pittsburgh that was supplied. So there, and they do, as Dave is saying, they do limit it, the hours. And even in this case, it's like Sunday through Thursday from a certain time, then on Friday and Saturday it's for another time. So
Okay.
yeah, you can do that.
We can limit that.
Yeah.
So maybe we should discuss that if he comes, maybe we can discuss that. I mean, is that something that we need to, it needs to be voted on by council, I would think. So I think it needs to be discussed in a public setting, so, maybe we can work it out next week. If not,
Whatever you make would have to apply the same for wolves.
well, we need to talk to Wolves, because I don't know how they have permission, because they've never come to us, and if it was given through the pandemic is over. So, I don't know.
Can we get Dave to go talk to Wolves to see what, you know?
We could, certainly, he should. He should do that, absolutely. And then the same is said about Fox's. I mean, I don't see a lot of people sitting out on Main Street at Fox's.
Well, Fox's doesn't have to go through the LCB rules either.
I know that, but they still have people there. And it's still a public sidewalk, and it's right on Main Street. So we should talk to them as well. And is there a fee for the?
Dave, what is the ordinance on that anyway, excluding the alcohol?
no outside sales, period.
No outside sales?
No outside sales, period.
Well, then Fox is violating.
Our ordinance, yes, so the
Ordinance.
banner, so is everything else, but Fox's years ago came in front of council, so did Wolf, or Fox's did years ago.
Is that?
Or, I mean, I shouldn't say that, it was opened up because of the pandemic.
Is that in the zoning ordinance?
Zoning says no outside sales, period.
Well, if that's the case, then the people that do that, if it's in the zoning ordinance, did they go to the zoning hearing board?
No.
To get a variance?
Like I said, it was because of the pandemic.
Well, they should go to the zoning hearing board to get a variance. If it's in the zoning ordinance, council is not the regulatory body over that. It's the zoning hearing board. And the people should go to the zoning hearing board. Now, this is different because this is alcohol.
Right.
The LCB, he can't serve alcohol. Now, if Mr. Stahl he doesn't want to serve alcohol, then he has to get a variance from the zoning hearing board, is what has to happen.
They're saying no outside sales, but if you buy it inside and you walk outside, you didn't buy it outside, correct?
It's different, they're serving it outside. They're not serving it, they're serving it inside, and then you're taking it out.
It's a certain
To go.
amendment to his
That's a
license
to-go
to serve
service.
it outside.
But what they're saying, what our ordinances say is, we can't sell things outside.
Correct.
But if you're buying it inside, and you come outside and you have a seat, it shouldn't be an issue.
Well, that's why, that's coupled with the LCB, you're correct, Tim. That's coupled with the LCB. Actually, Mr. Stahl should go to the zoning hearing board, and so should the other vendors that are doing it up there, to solidify that, and they're the ones that should grant that, not council.
Yeah, but what do you do with, like,
Not for alcohol, though.
right.
But not for alcohol, he's looking for
I mean,
alcohol.
we have the market up there now that sells, they have propane tanks outside, and then they go in, you buy the propane, they're outside. They have firewood outside. So do we have to take them in front of the zoning hearing board? I know.
Well, I'll go by what you said.
I know,
Dave.
I
There's
mean,
no outside
Brian
sales period.
Holaznik has Brian Heddleston has a t-shirt place now. Every once in a while, he'll put a rack of t-shirts out, or, do we say, you can't do that?
Where's that at?
Right up from Fox.
And it's not a bad idea
In the
because.
Bryant building.
Yeah, I mean, he puts, every once in a while, he'll put like sweatshirts out or t-shirts or whatever. I mean, there's other companies, or other businesses that put stuff on the sidewalk before it just had sells. I mean, do we want to stop all that, have them all go in front of the zoning hearing board?
But also, we complain about there's no businesses on Main Street, there's empty businesses.
I mean, in the past, other councils said, hey, common sense with the zoning ordinance, because if any business that opens up there, guess what? They shouldn't be open because there's no off-street parking. Do we want to take every business in front of the zoning?
The issue here, Dave, your boss is the zoning hearing
Right.
board. No, excuse me.
Yeah,
not the
and
zoning
I've
board,
talked
the
to-
zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
And, you can go to a zoning hearing board for 5 different, validity challenges, challenging your call on things. But the biggest reason people go to zoning hearing board 90% of the time is a variance. And in this case, that seems to be the case from what I'm understanding here, is that Mr. Stahl should go to the zoning hearing board just to serve food outside, and that goes for everybody else, sales, and plus he has to get the blessing of council here.
Council can override the zoning hearing board.
No, you would have to
You're
appeal
gonna
it.
challenge it in the court of common pleas.
Yeah, you'd have to appeal
They have
it.
their own solicitor and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I served on it for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Dawn, I've talked to, and Tom Burks when he was on there, about, should I take everybody in front of the zoning hearing board for parking issues, off-street parking?
Is that, off-street parking's in the zoning ordinance?
Oh, yeah, you have to have off-street parking for every business.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah, if it's in the zoning
See, they
ordinance,
told
the people that regulate that.
Yeah, but I mean, do we really wanna do that? I would have to do that for every business.
Well, you're opening
Yeah.
up a Pandora's box here,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I mean, maybe it hasn't been regulated that
Right.
way, and maybe it should be.
Yeah.
I think we're making this way too complicated.
Exactly, like the banners, Bernie, the banners, like, I use the banners as
I know.
example. They came down and said, hey, we have a great ID,
This is
Carmen,
becoming really complicated.
and Mark Fallon said, hey,
It is
we're putting banners up.
It
They didn't
shouldn't
go
be
in front of
so
zoning hearing board, I mean, like, him saying, yeah, you should go in front of the zoning hearing board, but previous council said, hey, that zoning is so outdated, it's 40 years old, 50 years old. I know, I was only doing what I was told. I mean, I don't take
Well,
anyone
we
for off-street
updated.
parking.
I'm only updated,
Yeah.
only coming to the times,
Yeah.
only coming in 2024.
We already have people serving outside. This guy's gonna come and ask us if he can do it. Let's just tell him yes or no and be done with it. That's it, I mean, right? He'll explain what he
It's
wants
common
to
sense.
do, and we decide.
Right.
It's,
I mean, you go in front of the zone, I mean,
no, you don't wanna do that.
exactly. Common sense.
Thanks, Dave.
Mhm.
Excuse me, the guy that's selling it outside, is he on a leash? I mean, does he have a 6-month trial, that he has to do it at certain times?
We haven't decided yet. The people that do it now have nothing.
Yeah, because that just opens the door for everybody.
Yeah, it's already open.
It's already open. The door's open.
But he
He's
gets
just
all-
actually doing it the right way. He came for permission. Everybody else just did what they wanted to do.
Okay,
he's doing
so,
it fair.
so what is your thoughts then, guys?
Well, let's go with what they said, give it 6 months and see what happens.
You like that?
Either next meeting, we vote yes for 6 months or no for 6 months.
Okay, very good. Is that okay with everyone,
Is that
council?
the pleasure of council to put the motion on the agenda next for 6 months?
That's fine.
And I think we need to
I mean,
state what's going to,
And the hours.
the hours, the
Till 11
noise,
p.m.?
if the police have to be
The noise is
called.
the police issue, that's not our issue.
Well,
Okay.
And that's something that we can track after the 6 months.
Right,
How many
exactly.
police calls were made,
Yep.
there during that time period.
I know under the old liquor license for the previous owners, there was multiple violations. This
Big
new
time.
liquor license, he's had none. You did check into that.
I just looked, 2016 was the last violation.
And he didn't own it then, right?
No.
Larry Stahl didn't own it since.
No.
Pizza shop and not the bar.
Right. So did you go over all the other items here, Tim, for the regular meeting?
Well, the items for consideration,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and I hate to assume, council is okay with what Matt has put together, the paving program, and that'll go on the agenda as a motion. We just talked about the pizza company, that'll go on as a motion for 6 months. And as Dan was here giving a presentation, his agreement will be on a motion, whether you want to consider that in the affirmative. Also, number D here is that we appointed Vice President Ondo to go to the Attendance Center for Environmental Sensitive Maintenance for that course that Matt was talking about, which is out in Beaver County for the Pennsylvania Dirt and Gravel Grant, and somebody has to attend that. It's a 2-day course, and the closest one here to the Pittsburgh area is in Beaver County. And we appointed Kevin Ondo to that. And talking after the meeting, there seems to be some reconsideration that a younger person from the Public Works Department should be appointed to that. And Scott McCullough came to me, and a gentleman by the name of, what's it, Ned Miller, where's Bob?
Yes.
Ned Miller?
Yes.
Ned Miller seems to be the young buck that the Public Works Department, and if council is in agreement with that.
I think Scott McCullough should be the person to go.
Well, that's, okay, that's, well, Scott, and you can send 2 people, but the DEP only gives a stipend. There's only a stipend, and I believe it's $300 for that, per person, so it's not an overnight stay. That would be for gas and mileage, but they will not give for a second person. Now, if you want to send 2 people, that's council's call. Okay, on what you want to do. If you want to send Scott instead of Ned, again, that's your call.
I think it should be Scott myself. And anyone else?
Send Scott. What's that? Send Scott. Send Scott. Whatever. Consensus. I thought it should be somebody younger.
I think we should send someone who's familiar with roads, and he is.
And he is, you're right.
And he's not that old. And
I don't think age should be a factor at all.
Huh?
I don't think age should be a factor.
No, I don't either. I think he should be
Pretty terrible.
he's the number 2 man in the back there, and I think we should send him.
Okay.
That's fine, I'm cool with
And
that.
item E, Bob Bicey gave to me, he would like to get permission for me to put 2 vehicles, Ford 2011 Ford 550 and 2013, Ford police vehicle on municipal bid on the auction sale.
Okay?
Okay, and so that'll be for council's consideration next week also.
Okay, good.
What would replace those 2 vehicles, Bob? I mean, are they just sitting back there doing nothing, rusting, or what?
Yes.
So we don't use them at all?
No, they're out of service.
Okay, I didn't know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling me old, Tim. I actually heard it. Thanks a lot.
Kevin, all I'm doing is repeating what everybody
I know.
said.
I think all we're supposed to say now.
Okay, so I think that being said, the other numbers here are just payroll periods and administration and all that police, blah,
That's,
blah,
yeah,
blah.
that's for May.
Yep. Okay. Any old business anyone like to talk about? Any new business? I know next month, next meeting, we're gonna, it says here, review planning commission, letters of interest. I think there'll be 4 people to be voted on for that.
I believe so.
And that'll be voted on next month. Any public comment at the end of the meeting? Bill?
Bill Land, 138 Colonel Drive. Questions for the engineer. Last month it was 600,000 was an estimate, now it's 800,000.
Thank you.
And it's still an estimate at this point?
The 800,000 is a more accurate estimate.
So, advice to council, you need to know how much it's really gonna cost, and when we're gonna find that out, just put it out to bid.
Correct.
Right.
So if you want that, as I discussed in the last meeting, there's $500,000 set aside for capital improvement and an emergency fund. There's $400,000 in paving, so it looks like we adjusted that down to $400,000. Plus we have $500,000 set aside for thoroughfare. So if it is $800,000, you would exhaust,
All your savings.
well, it's only $500,000. At this point, I don't know the current cash flow as far as revenue are concerned and expenses at this point. So, and I realize the paving season is quickly moving down the road, but, got a lot of unanswered questions that I think that you really need to get the answers to. Just a comment in reference to Main Street, I think a lot of it has to do with strategy. Right there, what you see Main Street doing in the future, what businesses you want to attract itself. In reference to serving alcohol in the street, if there is a precedent already set, and it was discussed right there at the zoning board, and no outside sales for food. I think that needs to be addressed right there. And then the other piece with the alcohol sales and stuff that are currently being done, that needs to be addressed. I think the one thing that I think in the past, we haven't used the solicitor enough right there to do that work. I don't think anyone on the council is, they're not in that professional law and regulations and all those things. That to have him work on that, I think is money well spent. In reference to ordinances, I've heard the same thing with the ordinances for a long time. And I'm hoping, I did apply to the one on the planning commission, I'm hoping that the planning commission could take a more proactive role in reference to looking at ordinances themselves. And I think the zoning board should also do the same thing. We've heard time and time again right there that all these ordinances and zoning laws currently are old, and they have not been updated. Without doing those things, and I'm not saying it's easy work, it's hard work, you'll be taking the amount of time that you're spending tonight in reference, which was significant, was 30 minutes or more, when you really get down to brass tacks, those things really need to be addressed. And I don't think that's the role of council itself. I think it's the role of the committees, the boards right there to address things along with getting the professional help that's needed right there to make their decisions. So that's my only comments.
Any other comments? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a comment or question. 2 or 3 speakers this evening spoke on abandoned properties, bad blighted properties. I know at one of the past meetings, the time and date didn't work for some people. Have we decided a time and date for those meetings, that since there hasn't been any? And again, 2 or 3
Mr. Youngkins,
speakers.
you're talking about the community property.
I guess, yes, this community and
Right,
property.
and that's not been discussed yet as far as another time for the meeting to be set.
Because we were in the beginning of setting things up with Seth, and when he left, there was nothing that we could do. We were just in the beginning of setting it up. And Tim's just warming the seat, and I was trying to get more help from the borough manager to what's going on.
Okay. But, I mean, clearly tonight, it's
I
needed.
understand.
Yeah.
And I have been going down there to the blighted properties and checking them out.
And there are a lot of blighted properties.
Yes, there is.
That's for sure.
Rick, the only last comment I would like to say is, I think everybody enjoyed having third graders, government days, but I do think that for next year, we need to change that program, because I think that was a true chaotic night. And I don't think we looked good, it as a whole.
I think it went well. I thought the kids loved it,
The
and they had a
kids
great
loved
time.
it, but
That's
to
what it's
run the
about.
whole entire meeting, I don't know if we have to do the.
Well,
entire
we've
meeting.
changed that in the past, we've not done that, and honestly, it's been pretty chaotic the whole time here since Seth has been gone. It's been pretty chaotic, yeah. But honestly, it can be done differently. Why don't you bring it up next year, you can be in charge of that.
I don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
KDP.
That'd be great.
Love it. I will. Thank you.
That's your call. You want to, It's been mentioned to me that the council wanted to have just one meeting a month during the summer. It's been brought up to me by several councilmen, not to have a workshop and just to have council meetings. Council, how do you feel about that?
If we had a manager, I would be fine with it, but since we don't have a manager, and things are as chaotic as they are now, it doesn't matter to me. You have to think about not having a manager right now.
So that's a no.
I
mean, we need to know, because if summer will be here and gone, and it doesn't matter. I mean,
I think
I can see it any way you want.
I think 2 meetings a month are necessary. One, so we can discuss at the workshop. I don't like to hear, oh, it's going on at 8 o'clock, oh, it's, We're here to do a job. We were elected to do a
Well,
job.
I'm fine if we had a
This is
manager,
my
right, if we had a manager,
No,
we
I
just
think
don't have a
either
manager.
way. Either way, 2 meetings a month, I think we're all being paid that
So,
wonderful stipend. I like it.
I think the air conditioning should be on in this room.
We had,
We had a guy.
We had mishaps
we
here.
had a,
We had a guy here.
fix it then, there was something.
No, the compressor's bad on it.
Yeah, so.
Last week, the elevators,
I
last
should've
month, the
known
elevators didn't work.
The elevator was out yesterday too,
Just-
Monday, so they were here
Just so you
yesterday.
know, the old municipal building, the air conditioning always worked in there.
Oh. Throw that in there, Rick.
All right, I need a motion
Do you
for
wanna-
adjournment.
Do you want to vote on that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Bodine and seconded by Mr. Youngkin. Meeting is over. Thank you all for attending.